All right, welcome back to MMA Al Dente. Ian Garry versus D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. Third fight from the top, and this is a damn good matchup. D-Rod is 17-3 as a pro, 36 years old. So a little old in my opinion, but not the oldest. He's still never been knocked out or hurt too badly on the feet, so I can't say he's fallen apart. But the only time he was finished was in his last fight, and it was the Neil Magny. Neil Magny just took that fight from him in round three. I think he lost round two. D-Rod was winning round two, but Neil just answered that bell for round three with a lot of ferocity, and he was all over D-Rod and just mauled him. Ended up getting a Darce choke. But aside from that, D-Rod has only lost in the UFC before that was the Nicholas Dalby, a split decision in a fight that a lot of people thought D-Rod won. And of course, he lost. He won. His last victory comes over Li Jingliang, a fight in which a lot of people think he lost, myself included. But that's beside the point. D-Rod is a tough out, is the point here. He's already got solid victories over Kevin Lee, Mike Perry, Preston Parsons, Gabe Green, who's fighting on the undercard. Dwight Grant knocked him out in round one. That was a fight in which he was knocked around early, got hit with a big shot, but then composed himself and knocked Dwight Grant out. But D-Rod, he's a guy that most of the time fights hard for 15 minutes, unless he's able to put you away, or he fights Neil Magny. He fights hard for 15 minutes, and he looks damn good doing so. Even his Contender Series fight, he fought Rico Farrington. That was a guy where he used a lot of wrestling in that fight. Not a lot, but he used more wrestling and a lot more grappling than he ever has in the UFC. The only grappling he's really used in the UFC was his submission over Tim Means in his debut. Got him out of there with a guillotine. But that was more opportunistic. On the Contender Series fight, he was advancing the mount and actually hitting takedowns. And I bring that up because I think it'd be nice to see him try that against Ian Garry. Or Ian Machado Garry, I should say. Of course, Ian Garry knows that wrestling and jiu-jitsu exists, and he knows D-Rod's probably underrated on the ground. D-Rod has 4 submission victories in his 17 wins. Okay, it's not the most impressive, but still, he's definitely better than he looks as a grappler. The thing is, Ian Garry is a big, strong kid, very good athlete, and he's a tough guy to wrangle. I don't think, and D-Rod's a slower guy to begin with. It's not like Ian's got to defend shots from fucking Sean Shirk here. I think Ian will be able to stay on the outside and with footwork alone take away any wrestling efforts from D-Rod. And this fight will end up being a kickboxing battle. On the feet, Ian Garry should win this fight. Ian Garry should win. I'd love to see him get a finish, to be honest, but I can't trust it because Ian Garry, at least at the UFC level, is not the most potent finisher. And Daniel Rodriguez has never been finished with strikes. Again, he was hurt by Dwight Grant, but he's never been put away. Ian Garry, though, he's almost been put away. He had a lot of adversity against Kenan Song. Kenan Song, he got him out of there in round 3, but he was rocked badly in round 2, whatever it was, hit with a big counter shot. I just rewatched it. And he was knocked silly, but he kept himself composed. He was getting teed off on, but he's big, long, and tall, where that alone, if he puts his ass between you and him, you might have trouble reaching his chin. So he survived there and ended up getting the finish again in round 3, which bodes really well for him as a fighter. Unless he starts getting knocked around a lot more, then you'll just be waiting for him to get knocked out, like Drew Dober versus Frivola last week. But Ian Garry, aside from that knockdown to Kenan Song, he's looked really healthy, and he's looked really damn good. You could argue maybe Jordan Williams was having a little too much success early in their fight, but Williams was always an underrated fighter, really sound offensively, really weak defensively. And Ian Garry, he's looking to just be really, really solid all around, and especially offensively, he might have too much for the overwhelming majority of UFC fighters. He's beaten lower level guys, Darian Weeks, Gabe Green, which was a solid victory, and Kenan Song, which, whatever, it's pretty good. Got Jordan Williams out of there, beat Jack Grant before he got to the UFC, a 5-rounder, by the way. But still, he's a guy that I want to say, at least on paper, he's a limited guy. He's only got one submission victory in his 11 wins. And I think, you know, I'd be more worried if he was fighting somebody with more wrestling or, a higher level guy with a grappling background. Here, though, even though D-Rod is underrated on the ground, he's fighting largely a striker and a slow, plodding striker at that. So I'm expecting this to be the Ian Garry show, to be honest. Even if he's hurt by D-Rod on the feet, I'm expecting him to survive. And if he is taken down, he's a big, strong athlete. I'm sure he's working left and right on his ground game. I'm expecting him to survive. Because even though D-Rod's underrated, he's still not, a grappler first and foremost. So this will be a striking battle, and I've got Ian Garry winning this fight. If I had a gun to my head, I'd go decision, which you can bet on at plus 125, but I'm staying away from that. Just too many factors. Not going to bet on it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.